Howdy y'all, I'm Ice Gold, and this one's for my American viewers. I'm pretty sure y'all all know this, and if you followed me for enough time, you've heard that straight from my mouth anyway, but we've got an election coming up in about 6 weeks. And I know you're probably sick of hearing this. I mean, it definitely has been thrown around for the last 3 elections now, but this is the most important election in our nation's history. There's quite a lot that's at stake, and there's a lot of things that I've covered in past MCSG videos. And, you know, that includes things like the Supreme Court and having the opportunity to potentially undo its 6-3 conservative majority, which has given us Dobbs v. Jackson, which overturned Roe v. Wade, Loper v. Raimondo, which overturned Chevron, both renditions of Trump v. United States. You know, the one that, or the second one rather, is the one that basically allows the sitting president to do whatever he wants to his political opponents and have it be legal. So it's like the purge, but for one person, and the Supreme Court just gave him that. But anyway, that's just a few from within the last 2 years. Not to mention the guy in Missouri who just got wrongfully executed on those same 6 Supreme Court justices' orders. That's not a troll either. Like, you can look it up. That is something that just happened. And this court is undoubtedly going against the wishes of the majority of Americans, but it does have the chance to not be like that anymore. And I think that's one sufficient reason out of plenty to get out and vote. But the important first step to take before Election Day comes is to get registered. In my home state of Texas, the registration deadline is Monday, October 7th. And this is really early compared to everywhere else, but we've got a pretty important set of races here in Texas that are going to be closer than the presidential race and are absolutely worth getting registered for. And I'll go ahead and read off the online registration deadlines for the main 7 swing states first, since your vote matters more depending on where you live, because, you know, America, but I'll list off all 50 states' registration deadlines after them. So, if you live in Arizona or Georgia, October 7th is your deadline. North Carolina, October 11th. Wisconsin, October 16th. Pennsylvania or Michigan, October 21st. And Nevada, you can register all the way up through Election Day on November the 5th. And these 7 matter the most because, you know, again, our electoral system benefits rednecks living in rural South Dakota more than anyone else. But another thing that I really should mention, if you live or are going to university in these states, register there ASAP. And, you know, if you registered in another state, you still have time until the dates I mentioned to change that registration to your new one. And I really should have said this sooner, but yes, it is 100% legal to register to vote if you are going to a university in a state outside your own. And, like, for example, if you're from Deep Blue, Illinois, which is going to go to Kamala Harris by 15 percentage points, but you're going to the University of Wisconsin, just one state up to the north, you can put your dorm or apartment or whatever place of residence you have in Wisconsin as your registration location and vote there. And there's bound to be student organizations on campus that'll help you do that. In Wisconsin's case specifically, the state has gone to both Trump in 2016 by 0.7% and Biden in 2020 by 0.6%, very close both times, as well as Democrat Tammy Baldwin in the 2018 Senate race by 11% and Republican Ron Johnson in the 2022 Senate race by 1%. But anyway, enough talk about that. If you live in the other 43 states, when are the registration deadline? Well, unfortunately, you cannot register online in the following states: Arkansas, Mississippi, Montana, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Wyoming, South Dakota, and Texas. You tend to see a pattern there, but I'll go over when you could register by mail or in person when I get to those dates. Washington, D.C., interestingly, has the earliest online registration deadline, being Saturday, October 5th, followed by Alaska, Rhode Island, and South Carolina's online registration deadlines being the second earliest of the bunch on October 6th. And joining Arizona and Georgia with an October 7th online registration deadline are Florida and Ohio, which both have very important Senate races, Indiana, Kentucky, and Tennessee. You can register to vote in Arkansas, Texas, which is a very important Senate race, Montana, and Mississippi by mail and in person up to this date, with Montana allowing in-person registration through Election Day. Montana has the most crucial Senate race in the country. And I know there's not many of y'all from Big Sky Country who watch me, but for those who are, definitely get registered just for that Senate race. It's all going to hinge on that one, so just a heads up on that. New Mexico's deadline is October 8th, with Missouri's deadline following on the 9th. Joining North Carolina on the 11th is Idaho, and if you're in Oklahoma, you can register by mail and in person up to this date. Delaware's dates will follow on the 12th. If you live in Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, which has a potentially competitive Senate race, Minnesota, New Jersey, Oregon, Virginia, or West Virginia, your deadline is on October 15th. Connecticut and Nebraska's deadlines are on October 18th. Illinois' deadline is on the 20th. And joining Michigan and Pennsylvania on October 21st are Alabama, California, and Iowa. If you're in South Dakota or Wyoming, you can register to vote by mail or in person by this date, with Wyoming's in-person deadline going until November 5th. On the 25th of October is Utah, with Massachusetts and New York's deadline falling on the following day. In Colorado and Washington, your deadline is October 28th. And finally, joining Nevada on November 5th, this year's election day, are Hawaii and Vermont, with New Hampshire's in-person deadline falling on this day. They don't do registration online or by mail in the Granite State, but what I found more interesting was when I was getting all the dates, I noticed that North Dakota, interestingly, does not require voter registration. So if you live up there in the third reddest state in the country, where your vote will undoubtedly be a drop in the bucket of either color, you don't have to worry about registering. So have fun. My personal belief is that the more people that vote, the better. And depending on where you live, you might get, totally blasted with ads. So I'm sorry if this has just ended up being another one telling you to get registered. But once you do it once, you never have to again. Unless, of course, you live in my home state of Texas, where our Secretary of State just purged 500,000 people from the registry. And now you're paranoid that it might have been you. So you're frantically checking vote.org just in case they do another wave of that. Living in the Twilight Zone down here. But anyway. Thank y'all for watching this. I've been Ice Cold. Definitely go get registered to vote. I know I haven't been talking for too long, but I don't think I need to talk for too long. Just register if you haven't. If you have turned 18 in the last, or gained citizenship in the last, 4 years, then now is the time to get registered for sure. And this election is going to be very, very close. It's going to be very hard to predict. But depending on where you live, you can really influence a lot. You can also influence local elections, just really anywhere. And do your part. That's the most I can really say about that. So thank y'all for watching. I've been Ice Cold. Be sure to like, subscribe, and leave 50 comments for the algorithm. My Discord is down in the description if you want to chat with me some more. And I will see y'all later.